What's good, y'all? It's Clyde, aka Archangel's Adele. And right now I'm going over today's astrology reading and the tarot card reading for 7/12/2022. And then we got Aries starting with my first house, which is right now my 10th house, I believe. I didn't get to look at that exactly, but I'm pretty sure. No, actually, Aries is my first house right now. In this case, not speaking about me personally, but because I was thinking of natal at first. That's the key. So our descendant, our vertex, our Jupiter, Moon, Chiron, Mars, and Eris, with Mars dignified, are in Aries, and that's really trying to say that Chiron, the Moon, and Jupiter are all working together because the Moon is actually filled up with a lot of healing energy from the work that we've been doing and the work the universe has been doing because of that. So since Mars is dignified, that actually means that it's a lot of different ways that you can actually heal the wound. And we're learning these ways because we're at one of the worst points after the wound's been burned the worst. So that's to say that, this wound, Chiron, it's always existing. So we always are wounded somewhere. And we always have something to heal. That's really why we come here, because we're universal healers, So there's that. So think of Aries as like the mind, or like the third eye, So that's to say, like, the vertex, or what is really the Earth's core, is the one that's hurt. And it's doing the healing too. Because the vertex is really symbolic of the Earth's core, or what is our third eye, which is in our mind, the center of our head, face. The Earth is like the mind of the entire being that we live in, that's proportionately as big as I am in this massive place. So moving on, Taurus, which is related to the throat, or what is the truth in a specific geographical location of space. That relates to an alignment of Uranus, which is fallen, which means that it is in its weak point. It doesn't mean it's in its opposite point, like a detriment, but it's fallen. So that's to say that the revolutionary energy that we have been enacting has carried over into the world. And it's also at one of its weakest points, because it's actually tough for the world to come to its truth. Because I will get to that soon, but the world is actually of darkness. This beautiful, bright place is born of pain, of evil, of hurt, of darkness. It learns how to do all of this beauty that you see here. It learns to do all of that by experiencing pain over and over again, until it learns that no matter how much I really experience a test for myself, I really only see I overcome every time. And even though you think it's so bad that you have to give up, even if you do give up, it's just really taking 2 steps back instead of maybe, stumbling back and then still moving forward. So the North Node, which is our main focus, or our goal at the time, is like, it's similar to Pallas, which is also in Taurus, which makes sense. Sorry, I got a text. But back in the spiritual dimension, remember, you have to be sometimes in 2 places at once, maybe even 3, 4. Whoa, look, a human hand with 5 fingers. North Node, Pallas, those two things are similar because Palace is our wisdom, our intelligence. It is how we have learned from where we have fallen by being a revolutionary to change ourselves to get to our goal of the North Node. And then Venus is dignified because we love ourselves, because we've made it. We've lived through the pain. We said we got through it, you know? And then Mercury is in Gemini. So this is a time where it's going to be easy to fall into overthinking and to thinking you can blame yourself and be guilty, and you can turn on yourself and act like we are the enemy on ourselves, when in reality we have grown past that at this point, and the world is trying to show us, no, you're actually good. You're all good. You need to realize this to help me now. Now you need to realize the truth of the whole situation and understand it completely, and not use a false perception to put something on it that is not the highest truth. And we know the highest truth can always be understood. It can always be conveyed. That's how we came to be in so many different spaces at once. If you really knew how vast this world is that we are and how much everything overlaps at once, you would never once feel like this was a pain to deal with, you know? You would really feel like this is a true pleasure, you know. This is a gift to be able to experience the worst of things and turn it to the best, no matter what it tries to take, you know, no matter what form it tries to take. It may feel like things keep getting worse and worse, but it also keeps getting better and better at the same time. It's just, it takes cycles of the face you see of what's better, or maybe what's better, or maybe what's worse, or maybe what's worse. So the sun is in Cancer, so that means from a personal standpoint, we're focusing on what's been keeping us in our shell and trying to mold that shell. And then our midheaven is who we are at that larger scale. So that's like saying the 7 chakras of our body is the midheaven of this world. And then Lilith is our pullover and a combination of the what we contribute with our feelings and emotions to the moon and the sun, and then what we contribute with our own actions, thoughts, and feelings to ourselves too, to carry over into a full moon in our own mind, which comes to us as a mandala or a realization or a knowing or a higher truth, where we shed. Because really the only lie is that a lie really means, you know, I know a higher truth now besides the one that I once knew as the truth that I stood by. So really, if we're to know truth, we have to be in a constant state of death and rebirth. And then you can know truth forever and ever and constantly get to a deeper truth, because everything is actually infinite, even infinite regress or infinite evil or darkness, because evil doesn't really mean to kill things, to be harmful to things. Evil just really means to live. Just another way to say to live. It's really just live evil. That's really how you would say to be alive. Alive, live evil. Those 3 words, alive, live evil. And it's balance, you know, alive, neutral, live, positive, evil, negative. Negative, sane. Negative, sane. Positive, changing, neutral. The awareness of what is changing and what is staying the same. So our part of our fortune, which is our fortune, is like our that's similar to like our home, or where we seek to reside, you know. So basically the world is in a place where it feels at home. You know, that's like part of our treasure. You know, it's like what we hold dear, what we look to when we need to remember why we're here. That's what Palace Part of Fortune is like, what we look to remember our purpose. So the world is remembering its purpose in Cancer. Its purpose is to literally molt its shell at an infinite rate. So Seers means that the world is eating what it wants its midheaven and what it learned from its Lilith and Black Moon. So it learned from its unconscious and is trying to eat what it is trying to molt. So basically Seers is trying to say that when the sun is in Cancer right now, it's doing its job. So Libra is, the ascendant is in Libra. So that is to say that our lower selves, or who we seek to teach, or basically our higher self that knows the knowledge that we already know, is in a balance point of Libra. So that is to say that it is in the sign of Libra, it's tricky because it's like with Libra, you can either be at the balance point, or you're way off in one polarity, or you're way off in the other polarity. And it's never, you know, a balance of either one. It's like you're either way off, way on, or just, you know, perfectly balanced. So perfect, it's like weird, you know? So that's like what this is, the calm before the storm I talked about. So Scorpio Hygeia, Scorpio is aligned with Hygeia in the South Node. So that's to say that the health of our planet is pooling over into say, this needs to go to the lowest point of my rock bottom, because we have been feeding it how we need to feed it. That's to say that everything that we have been eating has been properly aligning with ourselves, and we need to make sure to continue to look with a magnifying glass at everything we are eating in the feelings and actions, to make sure that we aren't eating things that are pushing us too far one way or too far the other way, like our ascendant in Libra does. We need to make sure we are here, perfectly aligned. We should feel perfect at this point, not too far one way or too far the other way. Even myself, I was getting into a feeling of anxiousness and nerves. And then before I started doing this video, that was the case. And then it was short, like 30 minutes to an hour, but I also felt completely fine before that. And then as I started doing the video, I felt great. So I'm just gonna keep that feeling. You know, you always have to remember the keys of everything. You have to remember when you start feeling bad. You have to remember how you got out of that, what it was like when you felt good, what it's like when you start slipping away from feeling good, all of that. This isn't to overwhelm you. This is just to say, this is our next step to say, we need to do this to be our best. And we will fall behind if we don't take the steps to go within ourselves and learn about ourselves and stop thinking everything comes from out there. Because like I told y'all, we created, drop my phone, we created this. We created that. We did that. We did that. This big world, we did that. Capricorn is aligned with the Imam Coeli and Pluto. So that's to say that our greatest teacher, Pluto, is aligned with our rock bottom. And then Capricorn is like our master craftsman, or our master toolsmith, our master swordsmith. That's to say that our greatest teacher is teaching us we need some real tools. And then this is the last bit before I give the tarot reading, and then I'm gonna upload a video after this, going over some key phrases y'all could use to essentially tap into physical, mental, and spiritual energy. If you need to use one of these to your advantage, if you're at a disadvantage in one area or all areas available at the time. So you can use one of those. That will be an advantage because there's always all possibilities. So there's always a way out, just like there's always a way in too. So Aquarius, we have Icarus and Saturn dignified. So Icarus is the boy that got burned when he flew too close to the sun because he wanted to see if the heat was going to keep getting hotter if he got closer. And then Saturn is the last visible planet in the sky. So that's really symbolic. That's really just a pure symbolism. It doesn't really mean much as it appears to me. But from a symbolic point, that's what's important. Not that its geographical location is that important or its positioning in the planets, but it's just its symbolism that we really need to focus on, not the planet itself. So remember that. Things mean things. Things are not things. And that's crazy to say, but it's so true. So Saturn is dignified in Aquarius, meaning that when we got burned as Icarus, we actually learned that our last body was our best body. And that was one of our lessons that we had to take with us, was that one of our best bodies actually made a mistake that ended us completely. And then if we were using Aquarius, our intuition, we would have known to use our instincts to slow down and to stop and say, hey, I can't get close to this thing because it's going to kill me. And then I'm going to have to rebirth myself. So if I do this, I'm consciously going to do something that I won't be able to fix. So we have Vesta, and then that is aligned with Juno and Neptune, which Neptune is dignified in. And since Neptune is dignified in Vesta, that means that Juno is going to actually be charged up, and it's going to take on a new type of form. So actually in Juno, there should be a new star system forming pretty soon, almost like right now, as that call popped in on my phone, like it's clockwork. So Neptune is dignified in this state because it is actually part of the revolutionary energy. But you know, Uranus is the main source of what leads to revolution, or what leads to true fire, burning something like Icarus did, even if it was accidental, to get changed into something completely better that we realize is a great thing. Like how Saturn is dignified right now, and Icarus is aligned with Saturn in the dignification of Aquarius. And that's to say that Icarus, who always gets burned no matter what, it's always the burn. It's always where Chiron gets its birth from. Icarus is Chiron's mother. So in that sense, the wound comes onto Saturn's body. So Saturn is the battered soldier, the battered fighter, you know. But it's dignified in Aquarius, which means its intuition is its best key. It knows what's going to happen almost before it's going to happen, because it feels like it's already happening, because the key is everything is at once. Nothing happens outside of this moment here, now. So lastly, Pisces is it's ruled by Jupiter and Neptune. So that's to say that Jupiter and Neptune, Jupiter rules the traditional side of our higher society, or what would be considered our it's the traditional way we look at things, our practicality. It's our traditional. It's to say, like, you know, we always have holidays. We always have Christmas on December 25th. We always have usually one person designated to make majority of decisions or have majority of the leeway in decisions or power in decisions. So all this alignment in Pisces, where Vesta, Juno, Neptune is dignified in a group in this star system of Pisces, in this geographical location of stars, that's how we are going to realize that we are getting in a new foundation of life. We have secretly been developing through our intuition, our silence within ourselves that we can't control, because silence is just everywhere, even underneath sounds or in between them. It has been developing on its own. And that's to say, we act off of free will, but at the same time, everything acts with us at the same time. So like I described, those beings that see space as a complete solid block and nothing else, they actually feel like we do, but they just perceive it completely differently. And that's literally how it manifests. And that's so crazy, but that's literally the same people that we have had on this earth. Believe it or not, that's the same people just reincarnated into a literal new form instantly, completely of a different composition. So this is a time where Pisces is to bring in a new birth of life, because Pisces is mutable water, and it symbolizes a rebirth with Vesta, Juno, and Neptune being dignified, and Pisces being ruled by Jupiter and Neptune. Because Jupiter is traditional sense of structure and Neptune is the modern sense of structure, or Jupiter is what you have always been taught, and Neptune is what you have to teach. So basically, this is to say this is a marrying point or a Vesta between Juno and Neptune, to say we have been married and we have birthed a new child through the fire that we have brought ourselves and burned ourselves, Icarus, as Saturn. So the mother, Icarus, and the father, Saturn, who is dignified right now in Aquarius. So he has the intuition right now to help Icarus, who got burned by Chiron, who it birthed as the wound. So the wound was birthing something. Literally, the mother Icarus, or our world, got hurt as it birthed in new life from the antimatter dimension that I've been trying to tell y'all about. So that's to say that with this tarot reading, you know from watching the previous Astrot readings that it always aligns with what's going on, because when you realize that everything is connected to every single thing that you could possibly focus on, even not focusing on at that point, that everything plays off of each other. It's like I can't, how do I describe this? Because this describes how they see space, you know? So it'd be like to say, I'm the green cap, and then the world I'm in is like, this is me, and I'm the green cap, and I'm gonna hold myself in position. So that's me sitting right here on this world in a smaller perspective right now, just for example. So if I want to move like this or like that, you know, it's like I can move, but I feel I'm free to move without any restrictions until I hit the earth. So that's to say that every time they move, they feel like they are literally moving something bigger than the earth, heavier than the earth, heavier than Jupiter if it was solid, heavier than the sun if it was solid. They literally feel like they are moving that. So that is why they appear so invincible. But the key is you just have to know how to decode that invincibility to find its weak point. And the key is there is always a weak point. So now I'm gonna move on to the tarot reading, and then I'm gonna go over those key phrases to tap into the, take over your advantages and to heal your disadvantages. Whoa. All right, so. Okay. Put them away this time. All right. We got a 1, a 2, and a skitty dilly do. So let's see what we have here. First, we have a King of Pentacles. So and the King of Pentacles upright, as you can see here. You are confident, attracting and managing wealth. You can translate your vision into something that is tangible, practical, and often lucrative. You are the ultimate business owner. Excuse me. So that's trying to say that we have already been doing these things and to realize these things. That's what it's trying to say. We need to realize what we learned when we got burned and we healed ourselves to work. Because remember, we already healed ourselves and the world is beginning to heal now as a carryover. Because we work first before it. The small things work to get the big things what they are. That makes sense, right? Yep. So then we have 2 of Cups. And 2 of Cups upright. States, you are creating deep connections and partnerships based on shared values, compassion, and unconditional love. You see the divine in others, nurture these new relationships as they hold potential for the future. So, that's to say that we need to cultivate the love we feel for each other. We need to make sure everybody feels accounted for in a sense. You know, we need to make sure everybody talks about their feelings. We literally need to ask people, can you please tell me how you feel? And if you feel like they're lying, you need to call them out. In the nicest way possible, just call them out and please get them to talk about their feelings. Because if we do not talk about our feelings these days, it's the worst for us. That's when we become catastrophic and we end up in the way we don't want to be. So then we have the Chariot. The Chariot. So an upright chariot, like so. You are a driving force fueled by determination and willpower. You stop at nothing on your path to success. You overcome obstacles and find cohesion between opposing forces. So that's, like I said, we are going to learn how to handle advantages and disadvantages when I go over the video in the apartment here. So I'm gonna be doing that soon. I'm gonna relax for a little bit, get some fluids in me. Make sure y'all get something tart or sour, you know, and if you see anything that appears like it's literally out of a superhero movie, you are not hallucinating. If anybody says you are hallucinating, you tell them you check in the mental hospital right now. Because if you think I'm hallucinating off of what I just told you was true, and if you know that's true when you're saying that, remember, don't let anybody deceive you that the things you see and perceive aren't real, because everything is real to some extent, but there's always a higher truth. Remember that. Let's get it, y'all. Yeah.